So, Mom, what was it like for you when you first arrived in Canada?
I find it's very exciting. And the first time I remember I arrived here is a winter time. There's a lot of snow. When an airplane touched down, I said, "Oh, that's a lot of snow I have ever seen in my life." And this excitement is keeping me for 3 months. Then I said, "There's too much snow." Literally, it's culture shock. Yeah, I couldn't speak proper English, and I get lost, and I have to go everywhere with some relatives around. And then suddenly I feel I'm like a child. I cannot make like a basic living skills by myself. Suddenly I find I'm lost. Did you enjoy being born and growing in Canada?
Growing up as a Chinese Canadian was definitely interesting. There weren't that many of us in the school that I went to. Do you think racism exists in Canada?
I think so. I think I remember first racism comments I get that were dated by 29 years ago when I just arrived in Canada taking my ESL course. I remembered when my first course finished, my whole class chipped in $2, $3 in a pot. We're going to buy a gift to surprise our teacher. So because that time your mom was not working, so I volunteered to do this gift shopping with one of my classmates. Nowadays, I still remember her name. Her name is Bonnie from Somalia. So two of us went to Reader Center because that teacher was male. So we both went to the store. We feel nice. They have lots of suits or ties. We said, okay, the money we have, we have about $30 something. There's a young saleswoman. She stand up by outside the store. She looked at us from head to toe. He says, ladies, what are you doing? We said, we're going to buy a gift for our English teacher. She looked at us one more time. She said, you ladies, please don't come in. There's nothing in here. You can afford it. I was shocked because I never treat that way. Then I talked to my friends. I said, did you like that comments? I don't like it. They look like we're poor. And she told me, Sue, I was treated this all the time. I get used to, just walk away. But I was regret nowadays because when I think about this incident, that time I was just learning English. My English is not that fluently. I was shy to talk up. Because if that's changing later years, I will speak up to the manager. Because she cannot look at our colors, say you cannot afford it. That's really racism comments.
I think racism definitely still exists in Canada. I mean, growing up, it wasn't easy per se. A lot of things that I went through in elementary school, there was a lot of kids that came up to me that did a lot of racist things towards me, such as like the slanted eyes that are associated to Asian people. They would say nonsense, like words that sounded Asian but had absolutely no meaning. Just it was a constant every day. Like just kids would come up to me. Even today, during the pandemic, there was a lot of racist comments and attitudes done towards me. I remember walking down the street with a friend of mine, and a person yelled at us and said, "Hey, you guys get sick a lot," hinting at, we were the cause of the pandemic, that we were the cause of a viruses being spread around the world.
Okay, have you ever been ashamed of your identity?
I think when I was a kid, I was, just because I wanted to fit in more with my peers, with my classmates. I remember one time I had asked you if I could have a different lunch just because I didn't want the kids making fun of me in school. I just think that when I grew up in Ottawa, it wasn't always easy for me to identify with my Asian roots. I just didn't feel comfortable in my own skin, which looking back now, it does upset me because I think the reason why, and you've told me this in the past, that you chose to come to Canada was because Canada is a multicultural place that is supposed to be inviting. Later on, traveling to and back from China during the summers with you, I realized that I had a sort of pride for being both Canadian and Chinese. And I think since then, I've been less ashamed of being Asian and just content with who I am. Is there a time you experienced a racist incident that you may not have told me about?
When you was little, remember? We were living in the condominium. I bring you to swimming pool. Those ladies will make comments about you. They says, oh, your child is making too much noise. And where you come from? Does your family have a restaurant? How you can live in here? I say, no, we don't have a restaurant. So they will ask you, are you a diplomat's wife? Because there's lots of diplomats living in that condominium. And she said, no, I'm not. I said, my husband just working here. They look at me and says, your child making too much noise, you should not be here. And they interrupt us. Maybe you remember it, maybe not, I'm not sure.
I think I was pretty little, so I don't remember that specific event. Have you ever been ashamed of your identity, Ma?
No, I'm not. That's why at my age, I still didn't dye my hair. Because at my work, I'm the only Asian in my school. And I find I'm proud of with my heritage. And my hair, they ask me, how come your hair is still black? I say, yes, I don't have a white hair. I'm proud of my hair. And I always dress Chinese clothes, especially Chinese holiday. I even do 2 weeks of Chinese learning in my school, in my kindergarten class. I teach them all the Chinese games, craft, any holidays. I will teaching those like Dragon Festival of things. I always bring those Chinese culture. I even teach them Chinese birthday song every time birthday coming. So the kids and parents give me good comments about that. Do you ever feel worried about me?
I do. Just especially like knowing that there is still a lot of contention in the world due to world events and like especially the pandemic. When you're out, I do worry about you. It's kind of like a passive worry that's like at the back of my head, like we've seen in the United States where the elderly, and even people my age and your age, they get attacked out of nowhere, just unprovoked. And it's a worry that I have, but I hope it never happens.
Thank you for care about me.
Did you ever regret moving here, Mom?
Actually not. I'm also told my all best friends, since I've been here for 30 years, when I came here, I'm only 26. It's like half my life is already living in Canada. I think this is my country. This is my second home motherland. So I will be, rest of my life I will be here. Yeah, I will living here. I enjoy living here. I think I choose the good country to come, and you have a good future as well, right?
Yeah.
Are there things you are wanted to say, but it's hard to talk about?
I'd say sometimes. I mean, just because like growing up here, we're taught a certain set of values, and I know a lot of times when I talk to you about things, sometimes our ideology clashes just because, I mean, you were raised in China and you were taught, certain things, certain values, but there is that generational gap and the cultural gap too, just because in North America, we may be more accepting of certain practices, whereas in Asia, it'd be more taboo. Certain topics and certain things that we experience in our day-to-day life, where we just generally don't talk about.
One thing I want to tell you is, I love you, no matter what, and I always want you to have a good future, hardworking, have a happy life, and healthy.
Yeah, I think I'm going to break the rule. I'm going to say two things. Okay. I do love you too. I know that in our culture, it's kind of weird to say I love you. Even with my grandparents, like when you said I love you, they just look at you like weird, like you just said something they've never heard before. I know that in our culture, the way that we show our love is through action, such as cutting up some fruits or buying a dessert for each other. Just like the small little gestures is our way of saying I love you.
Yep.
And the second thing I want to say is thank you for moving to Canada. I know that it wasn't easy. I'm 25 myself, and I can't even imagine, moving to a foreign country, not really knowing the language, and setting up my life here. I'm really proud of you to see how far you've come since you came to Canada all those years ago.
Thank you.
Like, you don't cease to amaze me, and just every time that I think I have you figured out, I feel like there's nothing more. You always bring something else that I've never known about you, and it really gives me the motivation and the passion to continue to strive to become a better version of myself. So for that, I have to thank you for giving me all these opportunities indirectly, from moving from one country across the Pacific Ocean to what we call sometimes a frozen wasteland, Canada.
Yeah, but I think I'm now, since here for long, I find that I'm very easy to say I love you in English. Still say I love you in Chinese is hard to me. I have to practice more, okay?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting
Yep.
thing to say.
Yeah. And son, you're doing great. I'm really proud of you.
Thanks, Mom.